This is the first lesson in the trig unit for geometry. When we start this process, there are going to be some steps that we have to follow. We're going to do all of these things, but before we do that, I want to go through what the trig functions are. We'll come back to this and we'll go through these steps afterward. So there's three trig functions. There's sine, cosine, and tangent. Sine, cosine, and tangent. The short way to write them is this, which students often say incorrectly. They'll start saying sin. It's actually sine. Sine. Then this is short for cosine. People will say cos. That's not right. It's for cosine. And then last, they'll put tan for tangent. But the actual names are sine, cosine, and tangent. These are ratios of side lengths. So sine is the ratio of the opposite side over the hypotenuse. Cosine is the ratio of adjacent length over the hypotenuse length. And tangent is the ratio of the opposite side's length to the adjacent length. There's a shortcut that people use to remember what relationships there are. This one has S, O, and H. So is what we say. So. This one has C, A, and H. Ka is what we say for that. So ka. And then last is T, O, and A. So toa. So ka toa. You guys will hear us say that a lot. So ka. Oops. Toa. And it's really important that O is over H, A is over H, and O is over A. That location of those sides matters. So to do these are the problems that I want you to do those 5 steps for. First, we're going to circle the angle we're coming from, or we'll just choose an angle to use. Then we're going to mark which one is the right angle, label the hypotenuse, we'll use height for short, the opposite side, which is the op, and then the adjacent. Seems like a lot, but you'll catch on pretty quick. So for this one, because it says sine of A, that's the angle we need to circle. So we're going to circle A. Then if you were to shoot like a bow and arrow, or if you were going to throw a rock, this would be your op. That's the opposite. That's what you would hit because it's opposite you. Or if you were going to throw a rock, you could hit your op. I don't know. Maybe that helps. This one is across from the 90-degree angles. That one's still always the hypotenuse. That means this one must be the adjacent. Okay, so we've got our opposite hypotenuse and adjacent labeled based on standing at A. So we need to find the missing side, which means we need to find the hypotenuse. If you've been in class, you know I've been talking about what's called a 3, 4, 5 triangle. 3, 4, 5. So what I notice is that this is a multiple of 3. This is a multiple of 4. This one's 3 times 2, 4 times 2. This should be the 5, 3, 4, 5 times 2. I know it's going to be 10, but if you guys don't remember that, that's fine. We're going to say that 6 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. So 36 plus 64 equals c squared. 100 is c squared. Square root 10 is c. So our hypotenuse is c. Now we need to set up our ratios. So sine is so. Opposite, our opposite side is 6. Over the hypotenuse is 10. 6 over 10, which reduces to 3 over 5. Cosine is ka, adjacent over hypotenuse. Our adjacent side is 8. Over the hypotenuse is 10, which reduces to 4 over 5. And last is tangent, which is toa. Tangent is opposite, so 6 over adjacent is 8. 6 over 8. And that reduces to 3 over 4. So for this one, we are using B. So we need to circle B. So we're going to circle B, and then based on B, if you were going to stand there and throw a rock or a football, your op would be over here. That's who you would hit. This is your 90-degree angle, so that means this is the hypotenuse. Then this guy has to be the adjacent. So it also says find the missing side. Here again is a 3, 4, 5. So this is a multiple of 3, 5 times 3. This is a multiple of 4, 5 times 4. So this must be a multiple of 5, 5 times 5. So I know this is going to be 25, but let's pretend you don't. 15 squared plus 20 squared equals c squared. This is 225 plus 400 equals c squared. 625 equals c squared. Square root of 625 is 25. So even if you don't recognize 3, 4, 5 triangle, that's fine. And then we need to set up our ratios. So ka toa. So katoa. Opposite. The opposite side, opposite is 20. Over the hypotenuse is 25. This reduces to 4 over 5. Ka, adjacent over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So 15 over 25. So that's 3 over 5. And then tangent is opposite over adjacent. Opposite over adjacent, 20 over 15. So that is 4 over 3. Sorry, I had a brain freeze.